what would be really nice is just to find out a bit about your background and your story into boxing. You know, a lot of people have different stories, and it's nice to hear everyone how they got into it. You know, family member and stuff. So should we start with that and tell us what age you were and you know, your story into boxing, basically.
Yeah, sure thing. So I started boxing at the age of 12 through my uncle. He basically just said to me one day, "Look, Saj, you're a soft little shit. We need to toughen you up a bit." So he basically took me to a boxing gym, which is great. So like I said, I was 12 and I was really into my sport. But the one thing that held me back was my asthma. So, you know, as good as I may be at a sport, I can only do it for like 20 seconds before I'm dying on the floor, gasping for air. So started boxing and found it really did wonders for my fitness, my stamina, and helped me control my asthma a lot better. And then I just fell in love with the sport. You know, I carried it on up until now. I'm 26 now, so that's 14 years. Mind you, up until the age of 18, boxing was on and off. It was like, you know, a little hobby I go to just to stay fit. Then at 18, if I remember right, I really wanted to become a professional boxer, and that's mainly because I was with my uncle a lot, and he took me down to shows and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought to myself, why can I not make this a profession? I'm going to be honest. I used to piss about in school. I wasn't studying or anything, and it's not like I was stupid or anything. I had the potential to do something with my education, but it just didn't interest me. So, you know, I sat down with my family, and as you can imagine, it was a bit, you know, far-fetched me talk to them about becoming a professional boxer, because let's be honest, you know, from an Asian household, that isn't a conventional route to go towards. But you know, it took time, and you know, my family were okay with it. So as long as I put the work in, if you're going to do something, and if you're going to call it a profession, it's something you have to do to the best of your ability. So I had my first amateur fight at 17 or 18, I believe. I can't remember. We're talking ages ago, honestly. By the way, one or two. I've had one amateur fight and one white collar fight. And my uncle was like, "Look, let's just turn pro." So we were training for another 2 years after that. And then I turned pro at 20. Had my first professional fight in Derby, in my home city, which was crazy, honestly. I had all my fans, my family, my friends. And on top of that, I had Tyson Fury and all the Team Fury walk me out. And, you know, as you can imagine, starting that as a starting point of your career, you would have thought, you know, the world is basically my oyster.
So there's a few things I wanted to go back on, but before I forget, the Tyson Fury thing, how did that come about?
So my uncle, he was their assistant trainer. So my uncle's Asghar, he used to be in their team. So obviously Tyson Fury used to come down, Tommy Fury used to come down, and so managed to give opportunity. Well, I'd say opportunity. He just did us a favor, should I say?
Yeah, that's like, not many people can say that. I mean, not many people can say Tyson Fury's walked him out, let alone for your first professional fight. That must have been that must have been it as well.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, honestly, I remember the atmosphere like yesterday. To this day, as you can imagine, it being my debut, it is my most memorable fight. I can just remember it like it was yesterday.
Have you got that filmed? Like some kind of footage?
You know what? I actually do, but you know, back then, it's awful quality. You can literally just make out Tyson Fury holding his son, and obviously Huey and them lot in the background, mainly because they're just so big, right, and just completely overshadowing everyone.
Yeah, that's mad. That's mad. Well, I wonder if there was any like actual footage, like proper footage of the fight anywhere with that on. That'd be.
You know what? I think I might have something archived somewhere. You know what? That's a good shout. I might actually look for that. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, mad. All right, let's go back a little bit. So, you know, you said your uncle needed to like toughen you up. You know, was that because like you know, like getting bullied or anything like that, or was it just in a general sense?
It was just a general sense. The thing is, I didn't ever experience bullying in school, mainly because of like I was just on a level with everyone, regardless of what kind of circle they were from. I was okay with everyone. I was never like someone who was getting bullied or anything. But he did know about my asthma and whatnot, and how I've been struggling with it. So, you know, he touched up on that, and jobs are good.
And how is that now, the asthma?
Oh, it's brilliant. You know, I sometimes forget I even have it. Mind you, I did have I did actually have COVID like a month ago. I say a month ago. We're talking 3 weeks ago, and my asthma kicked in on a different level. And at that point, I thought to myself, I actually forgot I had this, and now it's definitely come back with a vengeance. And it's like, oh. But you know, I'm back in training now, so it's leveling out, so I can't complain.
How long did you have the symptoms for of COVID?
I had the symptoms for. Let me see if I can remember the time frame. So I went for my test on the Saturday. No, in fact, yeah, I went for my test on the Saturday, and I noticed I was getting I had a fever like the night before, sorry. And then after that, because I normally kind of brush these things aside, it started getting worse and worse. And then I found it difficult just getting out of bed, you know, without having to gasp for air. But then obviously just had to rest and take it easy and recover from it.
So, you know, your amateur career kind of thing. So obviously
Yeah.
you mentioned about, like, you know, obviously you're Asian, come from Asian background. It's not typically the Asian thing to do. And what, you know, what was the first kind of, what was your, like, your parents kind of saying to you when you know, started taking your amateur career kind of seriously?
It's always a safety aspect for my parents. Like, no one wants to see their son step in a ring or, you know, carry an occupation where the whole point of it is to either beat the shit out of someone or get beaten the shit out of yourself. So you can imagine when I mentioned that to them, they're like, hang on a moment. No chance, you ain't doing that. And so it was difficult. It was difficult. And at the time, I didn't really understand it much. But the older I got, the more I realized that regardless of how old you are, your parents will always be your parents, and you know they'll see you as your child. So they want a safe, reliable source. You know, they want your future to be sturdy. And then I began to understand that. Obviously, the more my career progressed, they started to see that, you know, there is prospect in this. So, you know, now they're okay with it. They see that I'm committed. They see that I work hard. They're even happier that I actually have a second job as well, because I work in the surgery. So they're happy either way now. It took a while, but they're happy. That's the main thing.
Yeah, so that was the next thing I was going to ask. Were you at like college or anything like that? Were you kind of studying as well as the boxing? So it wasn't just one fully focused on the boxing.
When I was about 18 or 17, 18, and mentioned to him I was studying in college, but I was studying sports. I'm going to be honest, I messed about even then. I don't even think I finished my course from what I remember. But I obviously dropped out of college, and then I started working in a bank to begin with. I was there for a while, and it was nice having like another job just so I can show my parents, like, look, I'm boxing, but I'm also doing this if you're ever worried. So, you know, worst case scenario, if something happens to my boxing career, I have this on the side. And that has always been the case. I've always had something on the side as a plan B. You know how boxing is. Looking now, for example, for the past year, most small hall fighters haven't got a fight. They've been training, and most of them rely on sponsors they get for building up, for a fight. And it's like, it ain't sturdy. Hence why I've always had a plan B in case something like this happens.
I think that's smart because, you know, I spoke to a few boxers. You know, some have obtained degrees, as some have got like an apprenticeship in something, and you know, I think it's smart because whilst it's good to be confident and look forward and always think, oh, you know, you're going to be a boxer and do this. Yeah, you never know what will happen. I'm not talking about losses. I'm just talking about injuries, or you go for a brain scan one day and something comes up. If you put, you know, your whole life into boxing, obviously it's you know, it can be quite a hard run, I suppose, if you're in later life and you're then trying to pick up something else. Whereas, you know, if you get some sort of kind of qualifications or some sort of kind of experience or something, I think it's smart. So no, that's good. So what was your amateur record?
Oh, just one amateur fight and one win. I had a white collar fight, but
so it's just one fight. You didn't have like a
just one fight.
Oh right, okay.
No,
So
I'm relatively inexperienced considering how long I've been boxing for. I've been boxing obviously since the age of 12, but I won't count that because you don't really expect to fight that young at that time. I did. I've had collectively 12 fights in however many years I've been boxing. So you can imagine I'm pretty inexperienced.
so you're still very much at the learning stage then.
Yeah, pretty much learn on the job I do, mate.
Yeah. What was it? What was it like turning pro then? I mean, did you know? Did it come into your mind that, you know, like, okay, look, I've had like one amateur fight, one white collar, but, you know, I'm turning pro. Did it not kind of scare you a little bit?
um, it did to begin with, but then I trusted my uncle's judgment. And you know everything I've learned from boxing, he started me off with. So you know, I got all the respect in the world for him. Looking back on it, you know, I obviously wish I had more amateur experience, but I'm the kind of person to not cry over spilt milk. You know, it is what it is, and now we just have to deal with our current situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, listen, not everyone's got that experience. I mean, I think off the top of my head, Anthony Yards only had like 12 fights, and, you know, look where he's come, and, you know, a lot of people have done that. I suppose it just means you've probably got to learn a little bit quicker than, say,
Yeah, of course.
the others. But, you know, it's what you put in, what you get out, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, 100%. That's the main thing of boxing. You can't cheat yourself. You can't cheat the people. Well, you can cheat the people around you, but you can't cheat yourself. You know, whatever rep you miss, it will show in the fight. So yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it?
So I was just I was looking at your record before. You know, I know you turned pro in 2014, 15, whenever it was. You
Yep.
know, what, I think you only had, for the first couple of years, you only had like one fight like a year, and until you've got, I think it was like got a bit more as you got on. Was there any reason for that?
To be fair, I'd go saying it was my lack of professionalism. You know, I can blame my team, I can blame whoever, but hand on heart, I can say I didn't give my all. For the first 3 years, I've had 3 professional fights, and the fact that I said I was a professional boxer, 100%, I wasn't living like a professional boxer, mate. I'd literally have a kebab an hour before a training session, just because I can. And it's like, you know, looking back on it, I'm thinking to myself, if I had the mentality I have now, then I'd be in places. But like I said, we don't cry over spilt milk. We just deal with what we have. So after those 3 years, there's a lot of you know, a lot of bumps and whatnot. I stopped boxing for a bit. I stopped boxing and just focus on regular life, just trying to get on my feet. And what happened was we had a family wedding, and obviously we all got together. And one of my uncles said to me, "Look, Saj, what is happening with your boxing? What are you going to do with it?" I said, "Look, uncle, I'm going to be honest. I haven't got a clue. It is something I was passionate about, but looking back, I'm not entirely sure if I can get back into it." So, you know, we all got together, we started talking, and he sponsored me for the first 6 months of my career getting back into boxing. It was difficult, don't get me wrong, because we had to find a trainer, had to find a manager, promoter, all sorts. But we got there, and since then, I've had, like, you know, a different mind frame. My professionalism is absolute. Like, when it comes to my professionalism, it's like, what can I say? I have to, you know, maintain that level. It's been good. You know, occasionally you have to go through shit times to actually appreciate what you can do. You get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, yeah, I get where you cut. It's sometimes it's like a lightning bolt kind of comes down. There's certain
Yeah, of
times in your
course.
life. It's nice that, you know, you're able to kind of tell that story and be honest, because, you know, it's easy for a boxer to kind of go off the rails, but it's even harder, isn't it, to kind of like turn your life around and go on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I'm not saying I was going through major difficulties or not. There's a lot of boxers and fighters out there that go through shit ton of difficulties in comparison to me. But I'm saying that it's I could have easily just not boxing, retired, and just left it at that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when you finally got back, you know, start training properly, who did you start training with?
Oval McKenzie. So I was
Okay.
with him for a year, our first fight. And then what happened is just difficulties in timing. So I was trying to maintain a job and train with him. but we couldn't match times. So we thought, okay, we'll have to find a new trainer. No harm. Got all the respect in the world for him. He, did a great job for me. Then it was difficult trying to liaise times and whatnot, because obviously trying to maintain a full-time job. So my cousin, he actually went to get his trainer's license. And bear in mind, he's a full-time doctor. He runs a practice, and on top, he's went to get his trainer's license to help me. So for a long period of time, we were actually training in his garage. He set up a gym there, and that was our little setup. And you know what? It was quite funny, because looking back then to how far we've come, for I believe it was I can't remember, probably about 1.5 years, 2 years. Bear in mind, now I'm signed with Steve Goodwin. For 1.5 years, 2 years, he was training me. We were in his garage, going around selling tickets, the usual happenings for a boxer. And then we get a break, like we somehow managed to get on the Amicon undercard. And at that point we thought, are you having a laugh? We're just two simple guys from Derby now fighting in Saudi Arabia in front of thousands of people. How's this happened? And but yeah, it's pretty cool getting to that stage.
Yeah, I remember your name popping up on that undercard. It's pretty surreal. I talked to someone a couple of weeks ago, and he was on that card as well, and it just said, like, he's from Saudi Arabia as well, so he had
Zaher.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about going to Saudi Arabia. We developed a lot of how can I say, some good friendships over there. Bear in mind, we were there for a month. We were staying in the same hotel, and Zaher is one of the guys we got on pretty well with. He's a good lad.
Yeah, he just said, from his point of view, it was just mad kind of fighting in front of his like friends and family. For you, did you take many over there?
Oh no, it was just literally me and my cousin. And for the first 2 weeks, I was there on my own because it was difficult for my cousin trying to take time off work, having to run a surgery one, so I can imagine. But after that, he was there, and it was good. The funny thing is, we actually met a bunch of people who we knew through Facebook over there, and they made things quite good for us, so I couldn't complain.
So, obviously, on that undercard as well, you had your first loss.
Oh yeah.
How did you kind of deal with that afterwards?
To be fair, I want to be honest, I started crying after, because I was thinking, mate, how have I found myself in this? What do I do? This has never happened before. And you know what? If I'm honest, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I learned a lot about myself. A lot of people, when they do tend to come across those difficulties where they find their first loss, they either leave boxing altogether or come back stronger. I think I'm coming back stronger.
Yeah, because the guy you fought as well was unbeaten, and
yeah,
it was, I know it was a 4-6 rounder or something, but still, that's a tough fight for you to kind of be in at that stage, especially fighting away from home.
Yeah, 100%. We knew what we were getting ourselves into. He's knocked majority of people he's fought out, and we thought, you know what, either one or two things are going to happen considering our style. I'm going to outbox him, or he's going to catch me. For the first round, I outboxed him and dropped him. But then I lost concentration for like a split second, and that's all it takes. He caught me with a shot, mate, and what I'm telling you is I did not need a return ticket back to the UK. It was a big shot. And but that's boxing. All it takes is one punch, and you got to deal with that. Prior to that, I'm going to be honest, I was nervous as hell, as you can imagine. Going from your usual small hall shows to walking out in front of thousands, mate, I was bricking it. But I learned from it, and God willing, the opportunity comes again, I'll take it with both hands.
Was that the first time that you've ever really been dropped?
Yeah, first time.
It's preparing you that what can actually happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Like little small things where when I got hit, I tried to hold on to him, but I fell forward. What I should have done, I just took my knee, took the 4-8 count, then got up. I got up straight away. And at that point, I'm looking around thinking, where the hell am I? I thought I was like home a while ago, but I was dazed. But looking back at that, there's certain things we could have done, but it's one of those things. We learn from it, don't we? You know,
No,
I've
absolutely.
figured out what my weaknesses are, like, you know, and we're picking up on it. And that fight was a perfect example on how to pick our weaknesses. But should I say X weaknesses, because we're improving on it.
And I suppose it goes back to what you were saying about your limited amateur experience and limited fights. You know, maybe not being, you know, as active as you were as well. And I suppose that eventually they all kind of, you know, when you fight someone of that caliber, that, you know, it comes to a halt. But like you say, you know, you learn from it. It's not bad. And you come back with a win anyway, so you've got that kind of win under your belt. You know, when you returned though, did you have those nerves back because of the previous result?
When I got back into the fight, when I had my return fight, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, mate! I was raring to go. Like, what happened is straight after the fight, you know, it was like a day of self-loathing, should I say? I was, you know, upset and whatnot. And I thought to myself, what's the point of being upset? You look forward to the next fight. Show people you're much more than what happened in Saudi. And I'm going to be honest, the next time I do step in the ring, I'm going to show a world of improvements. And you know, it's that excites me. Like, I think all my nerves have gone out the window since that loss. Now I'm just excited to fight again.
Yeah, I follow UFC and Bellator and stuff, and a lot of the fighters say when they've had their first loss, it's kind of like a weight off their shoulder, because I know MMA is different and you have, you know, you have more losses and stuff. But the point I suppose I'm trying to make is a lot of them want to say the weight's off your shoulder, then you can kind of hit the ground running, and they seem a bit more
relaxed.
Yeah, relaxed.
Let's be honest, with boxing, how it works is, at the end of the day, as a fighter, you're a product, and you know what's more appealing to you, a product that's never been, you know, never lost, or someone who's lost like once. And so, you know, now that that's off my shoulders, I can actually just enjoy my boxing without any pressure, like you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, hopefully, when you get back into the ring, you know, you can kind of start pressing on with that. What's your training situation at the moment?
My trainers, I'm trained by a guy in Derby called Dan Gray. Yeah, I've been trained by him. It's quite good. We're getting on well. My cousin's still helping me out in the background. He's like the magic man behind scenes. But no, we have a good team. I'm still signed with Goodwin. So my situation is that really.
And have you had much conversation with Steve Goodwin about potentially when you'll next get out?
So Steve's really efficient in that sense, where he always notifies the boxers what the current situation is. So there's no point me hassling him. When the time's right, we'll sit down and talk about it. Right now, I think my main priority is to lose the kebab belly that I've got at the moment. I mean, obviously, become fight ready.
Yeah, there was an announcement. I spoke to Robert Smith last week.
Yeah,
and he said about, you know, obviously boxing overall is going to return like mid-Feb, but realistically, small hall is probably not unlikely. It's going to be a while. So how do you keep yourself motivated, knowing that potentially there's a chance that you may not box until later on in the year?
The thing is, you know, you say that, but what's stopping? You know, let's say a TV fight happens, you know, Sky Sports, sorry, or whatnot, and an opponent drops out, and they're looking for a welterweight. That's what motivates me. Like, any moment I can get a call up saying we need you fit and ready. I'm like, yeah, sure. Hence why, like, I'm still trying to keep fit and ready. So that's one of the things that motivate me. On top of that, I go back to a loss. Like, I still look back at that and think, I can't let that shit happen again. If I'm gonna lose, you know, not just to a single punch. I'm gonna lose to the better fighter.
Yeah, no, you make a point. You know, I know Eddie Hearn put on a couple of late shouts, didn't he, after about 2 days' notice, didn't he? With I can't remember who the fight was. I think it was one of Tony Bellow's kids and someone. And you know, you're right. It's you've got the right mentality to stay ready. And I think the promoters, TV promoters, have kind of acknowledged that and said to people, stay ready. It's just, you know, there's so many fighters there is in the UK. Obviously, not everyone's going to get on those TV shows, are they?
Yeah, of course. You just it's look and draw at the end of the day. You do your part in staying ready. The good thing now is, like, getting ready for a fight is quite stressful. You don't have to just worry about the fight, do you? You have to worry about the ticket sales, the self-promoting, stuff like that. Now I have all that off my shoulders. I can just worry about getting fit, and when the time comes, we show how things go down.
Yeah, just one question actually. I missed out. I was going to ask you about it earlier. The ticket sales. Some fighters have people that like do it for them. Some fighters do it themselves. How did you manage that?
Oh, I did it all myself. It's more of a personal touch, isn't it? At the end of the day, if I'm expecting someone to come pay good money to watch me fight, I want to be there giving them the ticket, don't I? Like, I don't want other people doing it for me. At this current stage, like later on in my career, I'm going to have to let other people do it for me. But right now, it's, if I'm fighting local or anything, I want to give them a ticket myself, don't I?
Yeah. Did you not find it quite stressful though? Like, so for instance, leading up to the fight week, and then you've still got people that either haven't paid you or suddenly want tickets last minute, but you're trying to kind of get in that fight zone.
It's a ball ache. But it comes with the sport, doesn't it? I do it myself mainly because I can organize it quite well. I tend to have a structure every time I fight where, I make sure there's a certain deadline. And if people don't I don't ever count a ticket sold unless the money's in my account. If you get where I'm coming from. A lot of people say they want a ticket. They say they want ringside, they want this and what. But when it's time to put money on the table, it's not the case. Which can't argue with. You guys just do your thing. So I've got a good structure going on, and it helps that I have organized people around me to help me with that. So tickets ain't a problem.
If the opportunity came where you could fight on let's say one of those siesta boxing bills, if you did another lot, or even I don't know, somewhere in Spain as an away fighter, would you potentially take that with the right amount of time?
I'll always consult my team about situations like this. If it's good, if it's good enough for us to go, then we'll do it. But like I always say, patience is a virtue. There's no point jumping at opportunity that doesn't sit well with you. But if it does, then I'll do it. Simple as.
Well, you're still young. You're 26, 27, so you've got plenty.
I like to think so, mate.
Yeah, plenty of miles in the clock yet. Do you have a realistic aim which you would like to achieve in boxing? And I know everyone says world title, which is what everyone's dream is, but is there a level where you think, do you know what, if I won an English title or a British title, I'd be happy with that?
Yeah, English and British is what we're aiming for. Like you're saying, we want to push for, we push as far as we possibly can, and only time will tell. So once we start stepping up in levels, stepping up with opponents, it will really show what our capabilities are. But as far as my boxing career goes, I want to stay in boxing as long as possible. Whether it be fighting or training others. That is my end goal with boxing. Have my own gym, training people, and just going from there.
So you would consider, let's say you finish boxing in, I don't know, 5 years' time, you'd probably look to get like your trainer's license or a manager's license? Yeah,
definitely.
It's refreshing. I think it's nice to keep people in boxing. Would you preferably be a trainer or manager or both?
See, I'm inclined to both. That way, the more I'm involved in it, the better. That's what I say. Trainer, manager, promoter, whatever, just throw it on me.
Do you want to shout out your social media so people can follow you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is SAJID ABID, Facebook is SAJID ABID, Twitter SAJID ABID. I like to keep things simple. I have Snapchat. I don't really use it often, but it's Team Abid 1. But yeah, so those are my social handles. Fantastic.
Well, I'll put those in the description so people know, and I'll tag you in when the video's done and stuff. So just from my point of view, thank you to Colin for setting this up, which is it's been a great little chat.